Alright, hello friends and welcome back to another episode of Our Life, Beginnings and Always. I'm excited for this one actually because one of you guys commented on the last video and said that road trip was your favorite moment. And so now I'm excited for road trip. I'm excited because I know that you're excited, if that makes sense. So we're gonna hop into it. I don't feel like I have anything really to say before we get into it. We're probably doing road trip and mall in this episode. Let's go, let's see. What is this about? Even though you were awake, the sun had barely peeked its head above the horizon, and the sky above was still dark, though lightening by the minute. Usually you wouldn't be up so early, especially during summer vacation, but today was different. Today, instead of the lazy days you were used to, everything around you was a flurry of activity as both your family and Cove's prepared for what lay ahead. Okay, because parked in the street, just outside of your house, was a massive RV camper. So big you couldn't even see Cove's house from it. His parents had rented the RV for a few days to take him on a short road trip to see the Redwood National Park. Okay, nice. You glance at Cove, who was standing nearby taking in the scene in front of him. The prospect of the trip had to be a mixed bag for him, but it was only 3 days, so it seemed like he was dealing with it as best as he could. Especially now that you and your family were joining them. You weren't sure how exactly it had happened. I was just about to ask, okay, why are we on the trip too? You knew your parents and Cove spoke to each other often, and somewhere along the way plans were made after Cliff offered to share the space. The parents all thought it was a fantastic idea. You had already gotten a good look inside while helping to load everything in, and you had to admit that, while it was a really big car, fitting that many people inside was going to be snug. Okay. I'm imagining like a Class A. I'm imagining bunk beds in this thing. Okay, Class C. Move it or lose it, kiddo. I've obviously had an RV in my life before. I know a little bit about RVs. Mom bustled past with a cooler in one hand and a large bottle of water under the other. She was upbeat for this early in the morning. Ma, however, seemed to be on the other side of the wavelength. She followed behind her wife, dragging her feet on every step. I love her so much. This is so cute. Okay. I'm going to need a whole jug of coffee once we hit the road. You could relate to Ma. It was way too early. It is still dark outside. You yawned and rubbed at your eyes, still sleepy from the early morning wake-up call. The air outside was still damp from dew that helped make you a little bit more alert. Okay. And then, at the end of the chain, came your sister. She had a bone to pick before the trip officially started. Her rattling off critiques added some level of normalcy to everything new going on. I don't get why I can't sleep in the bed tonight. Kit is the youngest, and I'll never fall asleep in that loft. Lofts are the best part, Elizabeth. We're trying to make things fair on everyone. If you want to play the older card, you should be offering to take the loft both nights. It's important for big siblings to make sacrifices for their younger ones. Elizabeth huffed, not happy with that answer in the slightest, and folded her arms, leaning back against the side of the RV. The trip plans had been nailed down prior, the sleeping arrangements included. Elizabeth still held on to her objections with them. There was a main area of the RV with a couch, loft, and some floor space. At the end of the car was a room with a large bed. Your moms were sharing the bed. Kyra was on the couch. And father and son intended to sleep on the floor. Okay. So this is definitely like a smaller RV. This isn't a Class A RV. Because Class A's usually have bunk beds inside, like, the wall. Okay. The adults determined that you and Elizabeth would switch between the small loft above the driver's seat and sharing the bed with moms. I'll take the loft. Listen, that's where I slept when I had the RV. You were excited to sleep in a loft. I also think that it's a little unfair that Cove, whose parents are the one organizing this trip, has to sleep on the floor. But also, give me the loft. It'd be a new experience for you and sounded kind of cool. Alright, you lot. Does everyone have everything they need? We're heading out in 5 minutes. Now's the time to double check. You don't want to forget something important. At the word, Elizabeth yelped and dashed back into the house, her bedhead hair bouncing behind her as she went. Ma came over and gave you a smile, setting her hands on her hips. How about you, Kit? Do you have all your clothes packed? Toiletries, deodorant, floss, anything else you can think of? I am... You just gave her a flat look. I'm confident that I have it all. Usually when I pack, I'm not sure, but I make lists and I triple check the list, and then I go around 2 or 3 times and I double check my room to make sure that I have everything. And at that point, if I still feel like I'm missing something, I get in anyway, the car, the RV, whatever, and I go, if I don't have it, I'm either gonna have to buy a new one or have it mailed to me. Like, I've done all that I can. But that feeling never goes away of like, I think that I'm missing something. Wanting to make sure everything was organized and ready to go, you had packed the night before and set your alarm too. Yep, I'm good. That's great. We'll have to wait for the ones who weren't as organized, but we'll be heading off shortly. With a few minutes left to spare before leaving, you mentally went over what you had packed for the trip. Clothes, a pillow and blanket, usual day-to-day gear for most people. You've also had more personal things, such as... Ooh! How many can I choose? Okay, I feel like if I can't choose multiple, at the very least I have to bring pencil and paper with me. Because I could read on my phone. Games are nice, but not 100% needed. Pencil and paper. Okay, you had to be prepared in case you saw something to sketch at the park, or if you had to write anything down, or if you needed to pass time just doodling. Nice. Cool. I can say multiple things. A couple things to read. You had packed one of your old favorites and a new one you'd never tried before. Okay. You knew you'd have plenty of time for them both on such a long drive. And I'm going to say a portable gaming console. Just because we can choose multiple. The drive to the Redwood National Forest Park would take an entire day one way, so you wanted to make sure you had a way to entertain yourself while traveling there and back. I get car sick. I was thinking more of like in the middle of the night before going to bed. Stay up a little bit, play some games, but okay. And I think that would be everything. Camera would be nice. Oh, you know what? I don't have a cell phone. Nah. Yeah. It was just a little pocket camera you had gotten from your mom's, but you couldn't miss the opportunity to take some new snaps. That's everything then. Okay, the glasses. They're very bright with your hair. It's a choice. But you work it. Okay. Hey, let me take that for you, Kit. I'll stow it in the RV. There's a few spots left. It will fit. You let Kyra take her bag and gave her a grateful smile. With nothing left to do, you watched the others getting ready for the trip. Kyra and Cliff seemed to have the most energy of anyone. They were finishing packing the suitcases away while your moms had gone to lock up the house. They high-fived whenever another one got crammed into the storage compartments of the vehicle. I love that. Even though your own parents were more low-key than Cove's, you could tell they were both excited for the trip. It had been a while since your family had been away anywhere together. Elizabeth skipped towards the RV, a bag slung over her shoulder, and you were surprised to see she seemed more optimistic about the whole ordeal now. Usually she wasn't one to exit the confines of her room unless it was for TV or food, or to leave her family behind to be with friends. You wouldn't have thought 3 whole days packed in an RV with 6 others would be too much for her. But it was a nice surprise. He supposed any vacation was better than no vacation in her mind. Cove had been pretty quiet so far, and, more than anything, seemed to be overwhelmed by the situation. I am eager to get to the destination. I think it would be fun, but I'm also excited for the trip in general. It was great to get away and explore new places. Soon, the miscellaneous remaining tasks had all been wrapped up. Ooh, we even get to see the inside of the RV. Looks like an RV. You know what? This looks like my RV that I used to have. Pretty much. Everyone piled into the RV. It was officially time for the trip to start. And it did. Cliff took the first shift driving. He cautiously navigated the massive car out of the neighborhood streets, that were also narrow, by the way. It was touch and go for the first part of the journey. Your moms and Kyra were all huddled at the front, trying to get a view of how much space they had on each side. There was a sense of relief when the first long leg of the trip was hit, and the RV would only need to go down one stretch of highway for miles. The mom group cleared out of the driver's area, leaving Cove's dad to it, taking more comfortable seats around the main cabin. You felt like you could finally relax now, too. Time slipped by as morning faded away. Before you realized it, the engine of the RV came to a stop, but only halted for a few moments as Cliff climbed out from the driver's seat, and Mom took over. Ma was sitting shotgun, giving Mom a quick tutorial on the controls, as it was her first time driving anything this large. Okay. Cliff groaned as he headed towards the rest of you, stretching his arms above his head and loosening up his muscles. We're making good progress. Good. Ooh, those glasses. Take them off. They're bad for you. Yeah, maybe you should take a nap in the back for a while. That was a long haul you just did, and I know you're on less sleep than usual. Cliff waved a hand, that trademark grin of his slipping into place. I don't need sleep. I've still got a few miles in the old tank. Oh boy. He flexed an arm, showing off his muscles to drive the point about how resilient he was home, and Kyra rolled her eyes in amusement. Dad, everybody has to sleep. Cove shook his head at the tough guy act, though Cliff simply chuckled and ruffled his son's hair. Are you going to be driving again anytime soon, Mr. Holden? I want to know so I can prepare. For what? Was he that bad of a driver? You have to, mentally prepare yourself? Did anyone pack some rope? I might need it. There's no seat belts up here. Elizabeth called down from where she was lounging in the loft above the... Is that allowed? Was that an option? You can sit up there while you're in motion? I don't think so, Elizabeth. Get down here. She was laying on her back, her hair falling over the side and swinging around as the RV started up again and took off down the road. A bag of potato chips was balanced on Elizabeth's stomach, and she tossed a couple in her mouth right as Cliff held a hand to his chest, pretending to be offended by the remark. Kyra laughed lightheartedly. Lucky for all of us, we have enough adults to cover the shifts today. He won't be driving again until tomorrow. That's a relief. Enough time to... Oh my goodness. Just enough time to write up my last will and testament. Not you, too. Listen, if we're gonna be making fun of somebody, even if I don't agree, I don't know, I will join in just to have fun. And it's obvious we're not making fun of him because we don't like him, right? We're having fun. The rest of the group laughed while Cliff pouted, and you gave him an apologetic shrug. Mom then shouted back in her seat to join in the conversation, a playful smile tilting her lips. I'm so ready for this. What I'm more worried about is this old monster getting us there and back again before falling apart. Darn it, I thought we were going to talk about Cliff's driving still. It looks as though it was built in the early 90s. It must be older than some of the occupants. That's just the aesthetic of the decor. It's not that old. I think. Did you ask what year the model was before you rented it? Kyra wrinkled her nose and thought. Yes, I did. I just can't remember what the answer was. Cliff chuckled at her while the rest of you let out a collective sigh. The RV lurched a little as it picked up speed, and you held on to the ladder to the loft to keep your balance. You felt something graze the top of your head before a weight settled on your beige hair. When you tilted your chin up carefully to look, you heard the rustling of the bag of chips, and realized Elizabeth had rested the end of it on your head. I love her. She gestured to the opening, silently offering to share her snack. Sure. Reaching up, you scooped up some chips. After that, the weight of the packet left your scalp. Can you just imagine, grabbing into your own head, basically, for some chips? You happily munched away as the conversation continued on, and you got closer and closer to your destination. The day flew by, with a group of you chatting and playing games, and passing the time together before finally arriving at the park and setting up for the night. Ma was closing the windows while everyone got ready for bed, saying goodnight to the others as she made her way to the back room. You had all had dinner together while still driving, and some hours after you had arrived at your destination and found a spot to park in for the rest of your stay. Giving a look across the front of the RV, you noticed almost everyone there was already dozing off where they were, with Cove having completely fallen asleep curled up in the passenger seat. He must have done so while Kyra was driving the last leg, and they had decided not to disturb him. Kyra herself was the only one up there who was still awake, flipping through a magazine next to a portable light from her spot on the couch. It seemed Mr. Holden needed to sleep despite his claims. You followed your moms into the back room and closed the door behind you before crawling into bed between them. It was a queen-size bed, so there was enough space for the three of you together without too much squishing. Get a good rest, Kit. We've got a big day ahead of us tomorrow. I'm looking forward to the bushwalk in the morning. It's been a long time since I was out in nature like this. There will be plenty for us to see. You stayed awake for a little while longer, while your moms whispered about the park and the forest in general. With the sound of their voices in the background, eventually you nodded off to sleep. The next morning, you were up bright and early, preparing for the day ahead. I slept well. You fell asleep before you knew it and had woken up rested. Ma whined about the firmness of the mattress, but Mom had only encouraged her to enjoy the trip while she could. While looking for a spot to get ready, you had some trouble finding a space of your own as the others were doing the same thing. Cove was perched on top of the counter. Okay. Brushing his hair and tucking up his legs every time someone wanted to move past. The parents were checking, double-checking, and triple-checking that you had everything, to the point where you had stopped listening to them altogether. You knew you wouldn't be returning to the RV at all that day, but by the look of the backpacks that were being packed up and ready to go, you doubted anything was missing from them. Look at the trees! I love this. It didn't take much longer until you all exited the RV in a bustle and headed into the Redwood National Park. Wow. Cove had his head tilted up towards the canopy of trees, his eyes wide as he took in the massive trunks on either side of you. This makes me want to go and see the redwoods. So anyway, I need to plan for a vacation day sometime soon. Let me just look at my calendar. You knew that the redwood trees here were considered the tallest trees on Earth, but you weren't prepared for exactly how huge they would be in person. Smile, you two. You spun just in time for Kyra to snap a picture of you and Cove together before she pointed her camera at Cliff, trying to get a shot despite his weak protests that she could just enjoy the moment. Your parents were walking behind the group a little, with Mom telling Ma some information she had read about the park in a brochure. Ma listened happily while looking around and taking in the sights, every now and then asking a question or making a joke about something Mom had said. You smiled at them, thinking your mom must have read a lot of pamphlets to know so much about the park. Maybe you should come and work here as a tour guide if you know so much about the place. Elizabeth teased, earning a squeeze on the nose from your mom. She seemed to be enjoying herself, but you thought that it might just be because she was amused by everyone else's reactions. I'm not 100% sure what "you were fascinated by the sensations surrounding you" means, but I would say I'd probably be in awe of the trees. Them's big! Surrounding you on either side, the enormous trees shot up into the sky, the sunlight peeking through their canopy and speckling the path in front of you. The sheer size of the redwoods made you feel like a tiny ant bustling along through the forest. That sounds like the perfect feeling. The adults had decided on some casual nature walks rather than any serious hiking, and you strolled along at your own pace, taking in the scenery. Elizabeth sped up a little, smirking at Cove as she fell into place between the two of you, and immediately you could tell by her expression she was going to say something taunting. "Can't believe our families are actually on vacation together." She threw her arms out, speaking with a genuine sense of bewilderment. I would have joked about something like this happening, but now I'm not sure I want to give them any more ideas. Cove smiled at her, even if it was a little awkwardly, and continued walking along. Just watch. Next year they'll be talking about their next new amazing idea. She put on a fake voice, deeper than her own. "We should just sell both our houses and move in together. Think of how much we'd save on the mortgage." It was clear that Elizabeth was being sarcastic. Cove simply shook his head, not really bothered by her. He supposed he was used to it by this point. But seriously, they really do act like we're a single family, just because we live across the street from each other. Elizabeth gave you and Cove a look, her eyes glinting with mischief as she leered at you. "Maybe one day we will be related, legally anyway." She said it as though she was a gossipy old lady. Maybe. "I guess you and me could get married, Elizabeth." I was gonna make that joke. "What? Me?" "Yeah, that way Kit would be my sibling-in-law. That would be fun." Elizabeth stuck her tongue out at Cove as if the very idea were ridiculous. No, I wanted to be mean to Elizabeth still. I'm so sad. I wanted to continue ribbing her. I guess I'll just ignore. If I'm not allowed to taunt, I won't be part of the conversation. You said nothing, choosing to let your sister prattle on to her heart's content. You knew from years of experience that the best way to annoy Elizabeth was by not giving her any attention at all. "Are you even listening? Huh? Did you say something?" She huffed at you for that one. The day continued on with plenty to see and experience. You passed by a few different activities that you would have liked to try out if you had the time, such as kayaking and rock climbing, but Ma said that it would have to wait for another trip. There was a little stream during the walk that you sat beside and set out a picnic for lunch, nibbling on a selection of fruit, sandwiches, and chips. Various birds flew by overhead. You made a game out of guessing the species that were hanging out in the trees nearby. You even managed to get a couple of them right, including the kingfisher that grabbed half of Clip's sandwich. I am disappointed to only have one day in the park already. There was so much here, you felt like you'd need a whole week, maybe even more, to experience it all. You sighed quietly to yourself, wondering if you'd get the chance to come back. Your group made it back to camp just as the sun was setting in the sky, and the stars were appearing, one by one. Everyone had enjoyed different parts of it most. You traded stories of what you thought while you were eating dinner, then afterwards you pitched in to help clean up. You, along with Elizabeth and Cove, got to head back to the RV early and spend some time together while the parents had stayed outside longer. It was nice to have the space to yourselves after the cramped journey there, and while Elizabeth had locked herself in the back room with her headphones, you and Cove were left in the main lounge area. Okay, let's hang. I guess we should figure out something to do? you could start by not being so close. I don't know if it's just like my screen is so close to my face or what, but every single time they're this big on the screen, I'm like, okay, back up. You took a seat on the sofa while Cove sat down on the other end, tapping his fingers against his knees. You know, I hardly ever see you wearing a jacket, especially in the summer. Oh, yeah. I like wearing as few layers as possible. It's easier that way. I'd rather be cold than extra hot. And it's kind of a pain to carry extra clothes around. My parents made me bring this jacket. I don't love wearing layers, I just love being hot. I don't mind either way, I guess. I just dress depending on the weather or how I'm feeling at the time. Cove smiled lightly at you and nodded. I've noticed. Huh? You asked him what he liked to see others wear. What does that mean? Anyway, that conversation had run its course. Instead, you asked Cove about what else he would have liked to do in the park if he had more time here. The two of you ended up chatting about various outdoor activities available: kayaking, rock climbing, hiking, horseback riding, wildlife walks. There were so many things to potentially choose from. You made an agreement that if one of you ever had the chance to come back, you'd bring the other two. That way you could try it all together again. The parents all arrived soon after, each of them climbing into the RV and finding someplace to sit down and rest their legs. Elizabeth, having heard the commotion, came out from the room for the first time since arriving and joined you all. You spent the evening chatting and playing a few games, enjoying the last evening of the trip together. Bedtime arrived within the blink of an eye. As the group hunkered down for the night, your mom did a final round to be sure nothing had been left behind. She explained that Cliff was going to start driving early in the morning, like on the first day, but would be letting everyone else in the group sleep. There wouldn't be a need for all of them to get up. Okay. Now was the time to check if you hadn't left anything outside. You, as well as everyone else, were confident that you had it all packed up inside the RV, which meant it was time to get some rest before the journey home tomorrow. Your moms and Elizabeth said goodnight, heading into the back room, while you climbed up to the loft. Cove and his family got situated down below in the previously set arrangement. In the front seats and couch. You tried to get comfortable as a million thoughts were running through your mind. It was hard to believe that the trip was practically over, and before you knew it, you'd be back in your own bed at home. How many times are you going to ask me? Yes, I enjoyed the mini adventure. It was short, that was for sure, but you got to see and do so much during your time here. All in all, it was a nice break away from home. The minutes ticked by silently. It didn't take long for the soft snores of Cliff and Kyra to drift up to you. They were asleep now. You wondered if Cove was still awake and decided to poke your head out from the loft to find out. You blinked through the dark. Looking down the hall, you noticed Cove laying on his back, his eyes staring straight up at the ceiling. His seafoam hair was spread out on his sleeping bag. He must have felt you watching him, because suddenly his eyes locked on yours. It was difficult to see much in the dim light, but you could make out the crooked smile on his face well enough. Oh, hell yeah, making a silly face. Cove rolled his eyes at you, or at least you thought he did. I don't know what that means, so we're gonna quietly have fun? Oh. I thought that included Cove. Like, I'm just suddenly coloring under the blankets now. You buried yourself under the blanket and pulled out your pencils as silently as possible. Oh my god, I have to go back. Okay. Let's see what happens if we, like, talk. Cove looked unsure about it, but you were happy to see him slowly start to sit up anyway. His sleeping bag rustled as he moved, though he tried to go slow and froze up like a deer in the headlights every time he made a sound, watching his parents for any sign of movement. Eventually, he managed to maneuver around his sleeping dad and make it up to the ladder, standing on the bottom rung where he looked up at you and whispered, "What?" Good night, go to bed. I want to know all these options. Like, I want to know every single... We're gonna go through so much. Remember how I said that this was going to be road trip and the mall? Just kidding, it's just road trip now. Hi, what does that one say? Cove shook his head in disbelief, but you could see the hint of a smile peeking out. Good night. And then he goes back. Okay. What if I say it was nothing? Again, he just shakes his head and goes back. So, what if I say goodnight? It's all the same. Only the names have changed. How are you doing? You're no fun. Whoops, I went back too far. Fuck, you wanna come up? I love when I say things and then my character immediately says the same thing, word for word. To be fair, that one doesn't have fuck, comma, do you want to come up? But the fact that I said, do you want to come up? And then immediately my in-game character says it. This game knows me too well. His eyes widened, just so. You could only tell because he had come to where you were. Cove glanced behind him quickly at his sleeping parents before turning back to you. Okay. There was a split second there where I really thought he was going to say no. You broke out into a grin and scooched back as far as you could, making space for Cove to crawl in. He was very tall, so it wasn't a great fit for him, but he managed to squeeze himself in. Luckily, you were short. Hi. I wasn't expecting a CG. Hello. Look at the scar on your arm. My camera's flipped, so I think it's this way we'd be facing the same direction. You laid down next to each other on your sides, face to face. He got under the blanket of it, okay? One of his arms was nestled under his head for comfort. The other had nowhere to go and was rested alongside his chest, on the floor of the loft. Cove spoke to you softly. So what am I doing here? I don't know. I was just playing around to see what would happen. I don't know. Why are you here? Cove raised an eyebrow, giving you a disbelieving look, and you shrugged as much as the space would allow. It isn't a big deal for us to both be in the loft, right? Yeah, it's not some huge thing. We've shared a million times by now, and usually they're the ones encouraging it. Cove gestured in the direction of the parents, and you nodded in agreement. They had always tried to put you and Cove together ever since you were little. I wonder how much trouble we'll be in if we get caught. It wouldn't be nearly as much as we would have been in if my mom's found out you snuck into my room for the night at the start of the summer. Maybe not say that so loud when all of the adults are in, like, basically the same room. There's no separation here, but okay. He winced, just imagining it. I still can't believe I did that and didn't get caught. It's a very dramatic morning. You could easily picture his frantic escape in your mind's eye. You're kind of a troublemaker, aren't you, Cove? No, I don't think so. Cove trailed off, and he seemed to be lost in his own thoughts. Hey, do you remember the very first time I slept over at your house when you left in the middle of the night? Yes. You would laugh quietly and nodded, the memory coming back to mind so vividly. A smile grew on his face. I left in the middle of the night. I hated being in a different place back then. Now I fall asleep in your house when I'm not supposed to because I couldn't help it. I had to take a second after that line. Okay. I'm sorry I was like that. I just couldn't take any more changes when I was little. I don't know what any of these mean. I want to know the lines specifically. Hold on. I need to know the lines. You've grown so much. That sounds like teasing. It's okay, I understand. I guess I can accept the apology, even if it is late. Damn. Okay, probably it's okay, I understand. He smiled at Cove, showing that this wasn't a problem, and he gratefully returned with one of his own. You spent the rest of the night smooshed up in the little loft together, whispering about your past memories and trying not to giggle too loud at the silly things you had gotten up to together over the years. Eventually, the chatting trailed off, and when you noticed Cove had drifted off to sleep, you followed soon after. Kick him out. You're not actually supposed to be here. Be gone. When you woke up the next morning, it was to the rumble of the RV as it traveled the long journey home. You noticed quickly that you weren't as warm as you had been during the night. Okay, and when you checked next to you, Cove was gone. Blinking sleepily, you peeked over the edge of the loft to find out where he had gone. Maybe he had snuck back to his spot on the floor during the night. What if he just rolled over and fell off? I was trying so hard not to laugh at my own joke there, but then I imagined it, and it really got me. However, you soon noticed him sitting on the couch talking quietly with his mom, his head hung in embarrassment. You got caught, bitch. Your movement gave you away, and Kyra suddenly looked up and caught your eye. She simply smiled amazedly at you. Oh, okay, cool. And it was obvious what had happened. Cove hadn't gotten away with it. They found him there in the loft, and then he woke up while he was trying to explain. You knew it was going to be a long, long time before you lived this one down. If you ever did. Soon your moms and Elizabeth emerged from their room, dressed and ready for the day of travel. You spent most of the day hanging out together in the RV, savoring the last few hours of vacation. Kyra suggested a few different travel games she used to play with Cove when he was younger, and you all had a great time competing against each other. A little while later in the day, sure, you tried to talk to Cove about what had happened in the loft, but he simply apologized and changed the subject. It was a bit too much for him to try speaking on, especially right now. You understood. When the RV finally pulled into your street, it was well into the night, and you were looking forward to crawling into your own bed after the last few days away. Everyone else must have been feeling the same, because it was mutually agreed that unpacking and cleaning the RV would wait until morning. Once home again, you went straight up to your room and dropped onto your bed, shoes and all, okay? I don't know. I feel very neutral when I get home from trips. I guess maybe a little bit you still wished you were on the trip, but there was so much more you wanted to see and do, and being away from home had a special kind of feeling to it. It was sad that it ended. With those last few thoughts drifting through your mind, it wasn't long before you dozed off to sleep. Tomorrow, life would go on like normal. That was a trip, let me tell you. Let's go to the mall. Oh, okay. We're going for scuba gear. Lee's visit today turned out to be more involved than you expected. After overhearing where the Holden family was going, Lee insisted on seeing Mr. Holden's shop. Firsthand, okay? An hour later, and Lee was busy looking at every item on display. Because Cove's dad offered supplies, lessons, and tours, the shop had all the scuba-related stuff you could imagine. Fins, masks, suits, and snorkels. After circling around the shop, he finally stopped and looked at the whole room. You know what? This is the first time I've been here. I assume, I'm gonna do more playthroughs of this. I don't know whether or not I'm going to record them. I know they're definitely going to be different playthroughs. I'm going to choose different options than I did this time. I think on those playthroughs, I'll say it wasn't often that you tagged along, etc., etc. But as of right now, this is literally the first time I've seen the shop, so... The mystery was finally gone. Over the years, you'd heard bits and pieces about what Cove's dad did from Cove, Derek, and Mr. Holden. And now here you are, standing smack dab in the middle of it. You felt okay. Not your first choice, but not bad. It was cool to finally see the shop, but you wouldn't object to doing something else today. Lee was still busy poking through the various wetsuits displayed, so you decided to see what Derek and Cove were doing. They were too absorbed in their conversation to notice you standing near them. Damn, pay attention to me. Hello. Leaning against the counter. You're able to pick up the topic quickly. My dad told me the new stuff is selling like crazy. Y'all are boring. Yeah, the material has this new blend with less neoprene. My dad says people are really interested in it. It brought a smile to your face hearing that the shop was doing well. It was interesting just to watch them speak about what they knew. But really, there's just so much to think about with a business, it's crazy. No matter how much I come, I still don't think I could get it. Cove hummed and nodded in agreement, causing a good-humored laugh from Derek. I thought you only liked the scuba diving part, not the job part. That's just the best part. I think about other things, too. Cool. The business side, running it, that's my favorite. Out of the corner of your eye, you caught movement, and you realized that Lee was now standing next to you. When your dad's retired, do you think you're going to carry on the store? Both sons shrugged in unison. There's tons of things I could do. My dad thinks so too. He doesn't want me to plan on working here forever. Cove's gaze fell to the floor. You could see the conflict flashing across his face. I don't know. It's a lot being the real boss of something and totally in charge. Can I take over the shop? Like, I have no interest in it. No matter what you both do, shop or no shop, you'll be amazing. Because honestly, I don't know how I would feel if there was like a family business. Depends on what it is. I don't think I'd want to run it though. I don't know. You'll be great. Derek smiled in equal parts happiness and bashfulness. He bounced on his feet a little bit. Thanks, Kit. I'm happy you believe in us. Me too. Cove's parents left the back office and came over, catching your attention. Sorry, kids, it looks like it's going to be a long one. I know usually others hold the fort down, but I really need to stay here today. I know you wanted to visit a little bit, sure. It'll be boring getting stuck all day because of me. Kyra can take my car and go back to the neighborhood. Cove and Derek gave him an understanding look. Mr. Holden crossed his arms and flashed you all a big smile, trying to lift the mood. The one condition is that someone has to remember to come back for me later. You don't get to strand me here, no matter how funny that might be. Kyra laughed and gave a thumbs up. Mr. Holden seemed satisfied with that. He moved on with the explanation. Derek, your dad also has his hands full today, so he doesn't have time to run you back home. That's alright, sir. The title Sir got an awkward chuckle out of Cliff, which was cut short when Kyra elbowed him teasingly. You already said I could borrow your car. Why don't I take all the kids somewhere fun for the afternoon? I don't know why my first thought was McDonald's. Like, me. That's fine with me. Just please come back eventually. Sometime today, Kyra. After multiple jokes about being left with no ride, you had to wonder if that had actually happened in their past together. It sounds like it. For you, my good sir, I swear, across my heart, I love her. Happy with the promise, Cliff took out his black wallet and offered a $50 bill to Kyra. Here, in case you need gas or anything else while you're out. Kyra smiled knowingly and accepted the bill without hesitation. Me too. Thank you. Cove's dad stuck the wallet into his back pocket while he waved with the free hand. Okay, time for me to jump back into work. Have fun for me. Bye, Dad. Bye. Bye, sir. Bye, Mr. Holden. Goodbye, sirs, madams, and the most respected guests. Ooh. All y'all are sirs and madams. I'm the most respected guest. He left the room with a wink and flare, disappearing into the employees-only area of the shop. What does flare mean? With a wink and flare, I'm imagining like as he leaves. When Mr. Holden was out of sight, Kyra silently strolled over the counter and carefully placed the $50 bill there. Kyra. She turned back around and beamed a large smile at you and the others. Come on, gang. Let's see if this town has a mall. I thought we were already in the mall. Okay. Yes. Unable to contain her excitement, Lee actually jumped with joy, while Cove and Derek just grinned. There wasn't a mall in your hometown, but Mr. Holden's store wasn't in Sunset Bird. It might be possible to find a mall out here. Okay. Where's my mouse? Found it. A trip to the mall had never failed you. You nodded, deciding that today was going to be alright. Let's go. I wonder, I'm gonna have to try next time if I can actually, like, do the options with, like, arrow keys instead of the mouse. That would be nice. She quickly herded the group out of the store into the car. As a driver, I get to choose my partner in crime. Naturally, I bestow the position of shotgun to my baby. Her comment had both Derek and Lee snickering. Cove was for sure embarrassed over the phrasing and blatant favoritism, but he took the seat by his mom without complaint. You were fine with that. You got shotgun in your own car a lot. It made sense that he got priority here. I just want to know what the teasing line is. It's not really fair. No one else had the chance to get it. You'll get where I'm coming from when you start driving, okay? No, I'm cool with that. I'll take the middle seat. Really? Yeah, I don't want a window seat. You two can have them. Are you cool with that? You thought it was odd that anyone would give up a window seat, but you knew Derek tried to be especially polite when he was a guest. You nodded. Good. Sounds like we're all in agreement. Everyone squeezed into the car, buckling in, and Kyra turned the radio on. She set it to a top 40s pop station. Okay. Quickly, you recognized the song playing. It was a new one by an artist you were listening a lot to recently. I listen to everything but blues and jazz, so honestly, it doesn't matter what you choose. It wasn't long until your group realized that they were lost. Great. But after driving in enough circles, Kyra's struggle paid off when she found a local mall. There were more cheers from Lee as Kyra pulled into a parking spot. Yo-yo, America! I don't know what this one says. This one. It's probably like an S? Some sort of rounded shape. O or a U. K? T? O? W? Or maybe an M? Unsure. But we got Yo-Yo in America. Once your group had made it inside, the first order of business on this trip was checking what this mall actually had. Where should we go? Hello, friends. Ooh, I think I see a makeup store ahead. She rolled on her tiptoes to get a better view. Lee, we're like 13. What do you need makeup for? You're beautiful the way you are. Meanwhile, Derek was eyeing the directory. That's a good idea. There's a chocolate shop. Seriously, we have to go there. Yes. Wait, and we need to find a decent jewelry shop. I need new hair ties and barrettes. From a jewelry shop? Girl, go to Claire's. We also gotta at least look for a game store. There's tons of things you can't get anywhere but a store that's just for video games. Hey, what are you thinking, Cove? I want to look at the fish in the pet store. This mall has a pet store? You could have guessed that much. Anywhere else? He smiled with some bashfulness. Can we go to a camping and outdoor supplies shop? What about you, Kit? Oh. A bookstore. And I can choose and video games. And I'm good. That's certainly a list. Good thing we have all afternoon. I love her. She just goes with the flow. Oh my god. Yeah. I have my own stops I want to make. Let's agree to regroup here at 7 p.m. Oh my goodness, girl. You're not coming with us? We're all in the same building. You won't be as alone as you think. I'll only be a few minutes away at most. You're old enough to enjoy the mall without me hovering. Okay. I'll be back here at 7. Toodaloo. Leaving Derek and Lee stunned by their newfound freedom, Kyra walked off. When she was almost out of sight, Derek's face twisted in confusion. Wow, she's really gone. I can't believe she just did that. This is so cool. We get to do whatever we want. Within reason. I feel okay with the situation. Well, it can't be that different from having a parent here. Yeah, you're right, and we'll probably be bumping into her at some point too. With the decision already made, Derek tried to pull together his earlier enthusiasm for the trip. So where are we going first? Time's a-wasting. Whatever's closest. That makes sense. Things were coming together, but you realized there might be a flaw in today's sudden plans. What's wrong, Kit? I don't even know. Did everyone bring money with them? Yes. You did. I always have some on me when I come all the way out here. Oh, okay. At 13... I don't know when I started carrying my wallet with me, actually. 13 would have been probably at the cusp. I'll say I probably had money. I do not always end up spending it when I get it. Immediately, you felt better about the situation. It would have been a real downer to not be able to even think about something in the mall because they didn't have money. I'm good. Now that everything was squared away, you explored the mall together as a group. There were many shops that you had managed to venture into so far. You all even went to the bookstore, leaving you with a pep in your step. This was better than you thought, and there was still so much to see. After having hit many of the top priority stores, you found yourself passing by a small booth. It was decorated with wind chimes of various sizes. You raised a hand up to one of the smaller ones. What sparked your attention next was Cove. You thought for sure he was going to stop by the booth by the way he looked at it, but he kept going. Do you want one? It wasn't until Lee asked that you realized you had stopped in front of the booth without saying anything. Lee just continued to encourage you. You should get one. I'm not a big wind chime fan. Like, what do you mean? Why is my attention even on them? I just noticed a stall, but I wouldn't want one of them. Oh, that's okay. Lee hummed in agreement and then started walking past the booth. Following her gaze, you saw that the boys were already wandering too far ahead. Let's go. After leaving another clothing store, one that Lee couldn't resist exploring, you and your friends found yourselves walking down the main hall of the mall again. It wasn't long until everyone you were with had their eye on the smoothie kiosk ahead. Should we stop? Yeah. As you approached, your eye was drawn to the dizzying list of smoothie combinations. A part of you wondered how long it would take to try them all. Hi there, do you need the rundown of how this works? Yes, please. Okay, first off you pick up to 3 options of fruit or berries. Then I'll add the ice in the store's special smoothie base mix. Then you'll have your very own smoothie for $4. $4 is a good price for a smoothie. Cove leaned over the counter a bit. For several moments, he intently studied the plentiful fruit and berry options. I want to get a strawberry. Cove, Holden, you piece of shit. Because I was hearing smoothies, and I was like, okay, I could get a strawberry banana smoothie. I want to get a strawberry banana smoothie with coconut too. I don't like coconut, so you're fine there, but sounds good. Is anyone else getting something? Can I just get one that's all mango? Okay. Of course. I'd like just strawberries, blueberries, and raspberries for mine, thanks. The shopkeeper looked at you now. I'm not a big smoothie person, but yes, I want one. Could I get? And then I get to choose. Mango kind of sounds good. I've never had an orange smoothie before. But my first thought was strawberry banana, so at that, everyone went ahead and paid for their individual drinks. You waited over at the other side of the booth where the drinks were put when they were done. Derek bounced on his feet, excited for his to be ready. This is gonna be good. Lee chimed in with her own enthusiasm. Everyone says their smoothie-based stuff can make any drink great. Cove, while quieter, looked just as eager for his smoothie. Luckily, there hadn't been anyone else before you, so it wasn't a long wait. Your group collected the fresh drinks as they were placed on the counter. Straws were placed through the opening at the top of the cup, as straws generally are, and the first tentative sips were had. Derek sighed in satisfaction after his taste. Mango is too delicious. Mine is super good too. Cove nodded and hummed in agreement. His straw was still in his mouth. Honestly, I hate when it gives me the option of like, what do you want in your food, your sandwich, your smoothie now, and then you have to choose whether or not you enjoyed it. Like, I don't know. Yeah, this is perfect. Cool, we all made excellent choices today. Yeah. Sneakily, you wanted to steal a sip of someone else's smoothie. I would want to try the mango. Can I have a sip of yours, Derek? You can. He held his cup out for you to take it, but instead it was easier to just lean forward to take a sip from his straw. Suddenly I'm flirting with a character I'm not even trying to flirt with. He blushed slightly at the gesture. That's a good mango, thanks. You're welcome. You were satisfied with that? As your group continued to wander the mall, you came to an area in the path that was wider. Okay, alright, yeah. In the center of the opening was a collection of quarter-operated ride-on machines. Derek stopped as soon as he saw them, smiling ear to ear. I want to ride. Okay. I think we might be too big. That's part of the fun, honestly. No way, we're not that old yet. He eagerly headed over to the machines, wanting to get a better look. Lee went along with it, smiling. I want to ride too. He quickly chased after Derek. He turned his head back at the sound of your footsteps and gave a thumbs up over his shoulder. Reconvening around Derek, he watched as he was focused on the various brightly colored rides. Most were designed to look like real vehicles, but there were also some horse-shaped ones. One of them could even seat 2 people. I call the that's what I wanted to ride. I call the helicopter. Why? It's the coolest, and I think it will move the most. He started digging into his pockets, pulling out whatever money he had left. Wait, is everything okay? I need 4 quarters, right? I don't know, probably. Yeah. I only have 2. Oh no. There has to be more between all of us. Hold on. This is the Shiloh getting ice cream conversation all over again. Pockets, wallets, and purses were checked over. Derek still had 2. Cove had only 1. And Lee ended up with the most at 3. You didn't have any. You can have mine. Thanks, but you don't have to. It's not enough for me. And even if it was, it'd be dumb to ride while you had to watch. Cove shrugged. He had tried, failed, and looked unsure of what to do next. Oh my god. Let's all get on one ride. Yeah. Could that work? Yes. Cove shook his head. It'll be fine. I got it figured out. Lee walked up to the car and studied it for a moment. She went all the way around it before she headed back to your group with this big smile. Okay, Derek and Cove, get in the car. You'll use the real seats. They both stared at her, unsure. Ultimately, they did what she said anyways. They fit, albeit very awkwardly. That was mostly Cove's long legs' fault. Kit, we can climb up on the back part of the car. We'll be right behind the seats. It'll work. Okay. Sure. I did this once with my friends on a ride. It was like a roller coaster kind of thing. And there's 2 seats and you kind of like lay back in them. And so I think maybe there was only like 3 of us. I don't remember there being a 4th person. I just ended up laying on top of my friend. And we all just rode the little roller coaster ride together. Like full on just laying down on top of your friends. You can do it. I didn't read that one. This had been your suggestion originally, so you went along with the arrangement. Once you and Lee got yourselves situated, everyone passed their quarter contributions to Derek. He leaned forward and slipped the quarters in the machine's slots. Jerkily, it moved. There was a chorus of nervous chuckles and giggles as everyone lurched backwards. Lee bent more forward so she could have a hand on the back of the boys' seats to keep steady. Listen, I've done it before, I could do it again. Your enjoyment spilled over into deep laughter. This is turning out to be more fun than you expected. We're gonna break it. Don't jinx it. I want to get off. No. We are in this together. Cove looked uncomfortable with the whole experience. Both hands gripped his side of the car. We'll live. Are you okay? I don't think it will be much longer. Yeah. Cove didn't say anything more. He held the edge of the car tighter as it went up and down, side to side. It wasn't long before Derek's fear of breaking the car was pushed aside. A large smile replaced the concern that had been on his face. Woo, look at us go! Yay! With every buckle of the machine, you kept nearly falling over and bumping into Lee, who laughed every time. He smiled right along with her as you fought to remain upright. You all did the best you could to keep it together during the remainder of the ride. And luckily, the car came to an end without breaking. Then you noticed something out of the corner of your eye. You tilted your head to look at it directly, and you burst into laughter. What's funny? You turned back to your group and nodded in the direction of where you were looking. Isn't that one of those machines that takes dollars and gives quarters back? The kind to help people who don't have quarters already? Everyone's heads moved that way and saw that you were right. Derek chuckled awkwardly. That's exactly what that is. We're kinda dumb. No, listen, even I had the option to ask if one of those was nearby. No, we're all getting on this ride together. We have to be missed that this whole time. Come on, let's just put this behind us. There's still places open. We haven't been everywhere yet. Here. You moved along from one stop towards your next, still jovial from the experience. Shortly into your walk, Lee ran over to a nearby trash can. Okay, I just thought she was gonna start dumpster diving. Honestly, I forgot about the smoothies. But she tossed her smoothie away. Derek went after her and threw his cup away. You followed suit and got rid of your empty cup too. Cove was the last one to throw his cup away. He took one final sip, making sure he got every last drop. The clock inched closer to 7 p.m. as you all made your way back to the directory. It was hard to believe how fast the day went by. Where do you think your mom ended up today? We didn't see her anywhere. I don't know, she's just like that. Ooh, it's a mystery. Despite having vanished for the entire trip so far, when 7 p.m. hit, you spotted Kyra coming right over, waving cheerily. As soon as she was close enough, she pinched Cove's cheek. Hey, baby and friends. Hi, Mom. He pushed her hand back with one hand and rubbed his cheek with the other. Did you have a good day, gang? Yeah. Today was awesome. We did so much. It was fun. I really enjoyed my day. I got to ride a car that only had 2 seats with 4 people. Highlight of my day. That roller coaster ride I went on, like, highlight of my year. It was really good. There was no hiding your joy. Like the others, you were smiling ear to ear because today went so much better than you expected. I'm glad we came here. I want to hear all about it during the ride back. She clapped her hands together once, making sure she had everyone's undivided attention. Speaking of that, we better head out. Cliff must be missing us, and you've got to be starving. It's dinner time and you haven't eaten yet. What do you know? Yeah. Everyone followed her lead and started walking out the door to the parking lot. Something about what Kyra said felt off to you. There were tons of places to eat. It's a mall. You could have had dinner. You wondered if it was just a good guess, but you could feel your eyebrows raise when it dawned on you. She might have been keeping an eye on you after all. That was actually pretty slick. I was gonna say, it'd be really cool if she was watching us, especially on the car ride. I wanted her to be taking pictures and video. That's really cool, though. If she hadn't made that comment, you never would have known. You found it hard not to be impressed. Not once could you recall even catching a glimpse of her hanging around. Though now that you think about it, not seeing her ever was suspicious in of itself. Checking off those thoughts, you caught up with the others. Listen, if the game's not going to talk about it, I'm going to talk about it. That's super cool. Her being like, okay, you guys have fun all by yourself, but then still sticking around, right, to make sure that we're okay and that we're not doing bad things or whatever. That's really cool, and I like that a lot, actually. Keeping the same seating arrangement as earlier, you all piled into the car and started heading back to the store. The drive went by without any problems, as it was filled with chatter about the various things everyone saw around the mall. Soon enough, you'd arrived at your destination. It was a much faster trip, considering this time Kyra knew where she was going. Hearing the light jingle of bells from the front door after being opened, Cliff poked his head out from the back. He lit up at seeing who was here. My ride! Hey, sport, did everyone have an adventure? Hi, Dad. We had a blast. Yeah. We found the mall. The mall? Wish I could have joined. He deflated in an exaggerated way, his shoulders sloped. Kyra put a hand on his arm and smiled. There will be other times. Are you all set here? Almost. Mr. Holden sighed, for real. He then pulled himself together, standing up straight. I need just a little bit more time to finish up. Will you be alright killing time for just a little longer? It's okay. Yes, sir. No problem, Mr. Holden. We can have fun here. Excellent. What a great group of kids. He gave an approving thumbs up and Kyra nodded along. I'll give you a hand. I remember the ropes. Why, thank you. They walked side by side to the back room. Before he was out of sight, Cliff stopped and looked over his shoulder. If you leave the shop, don't go far. It's getting late. And then the parents were gone again. Let's go to the docks. They're right down that way. Yeah. Oh, I saw those on the way here and really wanted to check it out. Are you coming, Kit? Alright. I thought it was really gonna give me a choice. Like, what else would I do? With a smile, Cove showed the way. Okay. Between the warm summer air and the smell of the ocean, you couldn't ask for a better night. Thanks for letting me come. Me too. Right? I'm happy we did this. Today was great. Cove, your mom and dad are really cool. Really? Totally. Cove looked at Lee oddly. He ran a hand through his hair and then his puzzled expression cracked with a chuckle. I guess sometimes they are. You continued walking. Every so often you would look up at the sky and see several stars poking out between the clouds. At one point you noticed that Cove stopped while Lee and Derek kept going on ahead, busily chatting. Initially you wondered if something was wrong, but you quickly noticed that he still looked to be in good spirits. You decided to hang back with Cove. He gave you a quick, acknowledging look when you stopped at his side. You could taste the sea salt as he took a deep breath of the ocean air. Silently, you and Cove watched the ocean for a little while. There was something about the waves that you always found soothing. You couldn't think of a better way to end a busy day. Not much time later, Derek's chipper voice caught your attention. You and Cove both turned to gaze down the pier. "What are you doing there, slowpokes? Get over here." "Hey, come on." You looked at Cove the same time he looked at you. You grinned and nodded your head in the direction of your friends. He gave you a small smile in return. Your footsteps echoed against the wooden planks of the dock and into the night as you ran to catch up. Okay. Ending was a little weird, but like I said, I really enjoyed that car ride. Just like joking around, and you're maybe not supposed to ride a 2-seat car with 4 people. But I like it. It's enjoyable. It's fun. You know what? I had a really good time with this episode, but that is the 2 moments that I said that we were going to do. This time we have 2 more until we're done with the 13-year-old arc. I don't have Derek's DLC. And even if I wanted it, I wouldn't grab it in this playthrough, right? We're supposed to be focusing on Cove. But I like these 2. I feel like I'm gonna have to play through the entire game to make sure what my favorite moments are. But these 2 were definitely like top best moments. But I'm gonna go now. We are definitely over an hour. I hope you enjoyed this episode, though. I hope that you found some fun little scenes, fun little moments to have in this. And I will see you next episode for a birthday and some summer work. What is strange, like birthday, happy, summer work. I'll see you then, though.